Hi, sweethearts. My name is Chris Farrow. Welcome to my channel where tonight it's Tuesday, November 25th. Happy Thanksgiving. It's 5 o'clock. Well, it's 5:05. 5:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. A lot of P's. But tonight we'll be talking Sister Wives. It's season 20. It's episode 9. This was Standoff at Coyote Pass. Meow, meow, meow. Do-do-do-do-do. Meow, meow, meow. That's the cat version of that Western theme. You know what? Listen, I'm gonna tell you this right now. What are they gonna do now that Coyote Pass is officially 5 years down the line, finally sold? Because the only reason to have them in a scene, legally, business wise, made made sense in this episode, and they barely talked and nothing happened, and now we're done. So how are they going to continue this show is what I'm asking. I honestly don't know. I mean, unless they're going to really like dive into the building of Maddie's farm and like more of like the delusion of Robin and Cody, if they can somehow continue to film them in a way that makes them think that they're not being made fun of and that they look good on camera while we secretly watch what feels like going to be like a horrific demise of them. Like it does feel like, listen, there's two ways, right, to look at Cody and Robin. They're either like in a psychotic codependent relationship for the rest of their lives where they have like no other choice, be bonded together because of their actions and because they've like lost anyone else in their lives that would love them and they don't have any trust left, or that they break up, and they break up for like the variety of reasons that could easily happen. She realizes he's insane. She can't deal with him. He cheats on her. He cheats on her with a woman. He cheats on her with a man. It could be so many reasons why they break up, right? We don't know, but that's the two options. And I don't know what's going to happen, but it has to be watchable for them to continue to film. And I don't know how it's going to be, like really. But let's get into this. So obviously, as we know, last episode starts with them, and by them I mean Christine comfortably, safely in the arms of a very boring David in the middle of like Moab, but also Mary, Janelle, Cody, and Robin, who have 25% stake in Coyote Pass. And obviously, Cody had to right the wrong he created by making the assets equally divided between the remaining people left, sans Christine. And that was a contentious situation and truthfully would have been incredibly interesting if we were able to see the drama of like what this was. And the bits and pieces we get are not enough. For instance, it was very confusing when they dropped the information that Cody could have forced the sale, and the Janelle was like, "Yeah, you can." And we were confused if she was telling him to do that or if she was just validating that it was unfortunately an option he could choose. And then now we realize no, she considered it, and it was because she was upset or nervous that Mary was holding up the sale of Coyote Pass. And now we know that Mary was upset because her name wasn't on all the parcels. And then we get this other fascinating tidbit that Mary was going to be forced to sign an NDA, that Cody wanted only Mary to do that. I don't know if he also wanted Robin and Janelle. I don't know if Janelle did sign the NDA, like so interesting. And that Mary was like, fuck no, I'm not going to do that. And so because of that, there was a holdup of like the selling of this land that Mary, tried to bargain in such a way. And so now we're like, well, then as we stand here, Janelle and Mary are on this mountaintop. They're definitely not friends. Like, for instance, we know that like waiting an hour for Cody and Robin to show up on this mountaintop was definitely not going to be something that these girls wanted to do together in the comfort of one car as they kiki with heated seats. They were like, well, let's go back to our cars and sit awkwardly until they come. And then, so I'm like, did Mary know that Janelle said that? Or is Janelle able to just kind of be like, whatever? I said that, but it's because I, didn't know what was happening. And is Mary just going to like be like, "Well, okay, Janelle, I guess the bigger enemy, Cody is good and you should be my like ally." It was very interesting. So Janelle does say things like, "Mary, I'm so happy you were here. I wouldn't know what you would I would do if you weren't here, if I just had to deal with Cody and Robin by themselves." No one's happy to have this moment on the mountain. And when Cody and Robin come, again, an hour late, they don't get out of the car. And so now everyone's just sitting in their car. And Cody and Robin are like, "Yeah, it was so weird. No one got out of their car." And it's like, well, you guys were the late ones. So you should have been the ones that got out. If I know I'm late and I roll up to someone and they're all in their cars, I wouldn't assume that they would be the first people to come out. I would assume I would be. But it was obviously a power move for them not to do that. And they want to like blame other people. Like, it's so weird that Mary and Janelle didn't, when it's like, oh, it's because it was on you to do that. And you didn't. You made it awkward. You made it weird. Then it becomes this thing where it's like, who's going to look at who? Who's going to make what meaningful eye contact and say hi in a meaningful gesture way? Guess what? No one does. And guess what? Everyone blames the other people for not doing that. Here's what's interesting about it. There's two ways to approach that. You can either walk into a situation and be like, "Hey, nice to see you. It's been a long time, but I hope things are well." And you are like the bigger person and you initiated that. And then whatever happens after that, it's like you made the bigger move. That's harder to do. It's harder to make eye contact and just like remain emotionally regulated in your nervous system to comfortably let emotions arise, not freak out, and then just like continue on, right? No one does. So Mary is just like, "No one's saying hi to me." And truly, Robin is like not looking at anyone. And Cody is doing his weird thing where he's like, the eyes are moving fast and he's smiling. So at one point, I took a bunch of pictures because Janelle's like, to Justin, who is their realtor, she's like, "Let me just look over everything. I just want to make sure while we're here that everything is up to snuff. The distribution, I want to double check it." And in this moment, the editors make sure to get a variety of different takes to this moment, to Janelle checking. You have Cody looking to no one in particular. You have Robin sort of smiling in her like, "I made sure that everything was equal so you can check, but if it wasn't for me, Robin, if I didn't put up the fight to make sure that everything was equal, this would have been really fucked up." Robin is very, very proud of herself. Now, Mary looks at Cody like she caught a fucking cat on top of like a mouse, and the cat was about to eat the mouse. And Mary's like, "Give me that fucking mouse, cat." I mean, Mary's look of like, "You better run because I know that you were going to fuck me over. And I know that now." And she said that last episode. I can't believe what these people did. It's so interesting. Hi. I just like I loved those looks. I was like, this is all we get. Basically, obviously, also it's all we get. They don't talk. All they do is yell at each other in confessionals about how they don't make eye contact and who didn't say hi and who didn't get out of their car first. And they're just like awkward AF in real life. I mean, it is interesting how awkward they are. Like, not to even just call it out in a way like, "Hey guys, let's just be honest. We're also on TV. We're not gonna really spend time together ever again, and this is the ending of, like, what was a huge part of all of our lives." So, without getting into anything emotional, I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned in the time we spent together, and I sincerely wish everyone here health. Like, what could you say? You can say those things. I don't think anyone like, I don't think Mary wishes Cody death. They have a child together, and that, by the way, that child, Leon, hates Cody. At the end of this, I'll tell you what happened there. So basically just okay, so we'll go into that. But anyway, he's, obviously Leon's not the only person that hates Cody. Definitely Maddie hates Cody too. So, and those are different children from different mothers. So in this moment, as they, smile at each other, and as I go away, and as Mary really complains that no one said hi to her, and Cody says, "Well, Robin." Robin says, "Robin doesn't endorse fakeness," and Cody's like, "Well, Robin doesn't like girl games. She hates girl games, and she reads nuance." And I thought to myself, I wonder how many times Robin let it subtly be known that, like, she felt tension with other women, like Christine or Janelle or Mary in relationships, and she let Cody know, and he just really only saw her side in it. Like, he only saw people's reactions to Robin without understanding the nuance of why. And maybe, like, Cody is just so daft, like, and doesn't seem to understand, like, cause and effect. That's, like, one of the more confusing things, I think, about Cody and Robin, is that they don't seem to understand their part in the cause. And all they do is point at the effects and be like, "We're victims of these effects." And you're like, "You are the cause of them. You are the stone that made the ripples in the stupid lake." Like, that lake was peaceful, and then your stupid stone asses went skipping on top of the water, and now you're complaining about the waves? Okay. So okay. So at this point, I'm upset. Chris Fair is upset. You can tell. She's like, "This is all we get? This is it. We get." The best part of Coyote Pass and this standoff is Mary's face in that one moment. And that's why the editors took 14 seconds to give that a beat. I just am surprised that, like, they didn't pull Mary aside. Mary has a hot temper, and Mary is the most emotional out of this. Mary almost got fucked over. I almost, like, was like, the producers should have, like, done a little something where they should have been a little more heavy-handed to be like, "Hey, Mary, we're not legal experts, but let me just tell you that if you didn't have to sign that NDA. So you can say something right now in this scene if you wanted to, like something of wisdom or knowingness. Like, if they try to fuck you over, Mary, why not let it be known that you will not be fucked with?" And maybe that was her way alone, being like, "I got my 25% and I didn't sign the NDA, and now I'm just going to sit here and look smug." But I guess, well, you know why I say this? Because Mary would have won this moment if she didn't walk away being like, "No one said hi to me. It was so awkward. No one said hi. No one said," it's like, well, if you were the one that had said hi, if you were the one, Mary, that, like, let it be like, "Well, I'm glad this is done. And now we all know where we all stand with each other. And we all can see how we behaved. We can maybe learn from that. And I certainly will learn from my mistakes. And I will certainly learn how to move forward with people that I can trust in the future." Now, you should know that I'm on the streets, and the streets are Reddit. And the Reddit forum put up, like, a sister wives question, which is like, basically, what do you think is the most controversial take? And a lot of them have to do with, like, Robin for sure. But one of them is, like, that Robin was involved in the catfish, which is so funny. So, like, it's a very funny, great conspiracy. Like, if Robin had fed information. And it's basically going to be fired up because, as we, like, find, Robin knew about that situation before Cody did. Cody did, she said. And then we're supposed to believe that Robin just kept that to herself and didn't use that information in any way to make sure that Cody divorced his legally married wife to marry Robin and legally adopt her children, making sure that, like, any money in the estate of, like, the Brown family would be divided equally. um so I just don't know what's going to happen, and this could have been a lot more, and it is disappointing. And I think that the producers could have just added a little. They could have put a fire under Mary to make Mary, I don't know, make a stronger move than she did. And then it just gets worse from here. I'll tell you. Christine and David go to facials. Sometimes the way David talks is so, like, country bumpkin that, like, it somehow, like, elevates Christine's language and expression to be like, how are they together? Sometimes she does express herself better than anyone on the show, and she always has. She speaks well and she like can put sense together. Like she's 100% more expressive than Janelle, you know? And Mary is expressive too, but Christine speaks with what seems like the highest level of education. It does feel like Christine reads more. It feels like Christine's verbiage and like, you know, knowledge of like words is like maybe like out of 3,000, where like Robin's is at like a 750. Like I feel like Robin's word bank is 750 words in English language. You know, like, and a lot of them have to do with dolls. Dolls. It's true. Does that mean? Yeah, but I'm okay. But true. Okay. This facial scene is horrible. They go get facials, and then David's like, "Whoa, you have to sit down." I thought that I don't know what this voice is. He's like, "You have to sit with facials." I thought you got facials sitting up. Who you thought you get facials sitting up? Why? You thought it was just going to gloop off? Who the get? Are you thinking about getting shaved? I never thought about this, but you know, I obviously don't have to shave my face like a full barber, but like, yeah, men usually get shaved like that, you know, obviously sitting up. Maybe they just got their hair cut. Maybe because like the way skin is, like it's easier to like shave a face when its gravity is going one way. Maybe it's yeah, I think it'd be hard to shave a face as it's like laying down because like everything just kind of falls down. Maybe you'll cut yourself. So that makes sense. But like a facial, I think it'd be so obvious that you have to lay down for a facial. Because I just feel like it's obvious that things would just start to fall off your face, like just physics alone and make me think, David, did you think about that before you opened your mouth? And that's what I'm talking about. David seems, you know, street smarts more than book smarts. That's what I would say about that. Okay, so it is an unwatchable scene. I can't even get into like more of like what happens other than they just have a facial and she talks. And I think that low key in these scenes, we really watch Christine be like, I don't know if I can live forever like this. And so I'll just keep saying how this is so much better. Um, then Mary is trying to turn that B&B into an event space. I don't know where Jen is, honey, but Jen's gone and now Amber's there. And now we're like, you know, Amber's all we get with Mary, and their relationship is like, this seems like it's more than you're telling us. Will you please elaborate? And she basically is like, yeah, you know, this is what happened at Coyote Pass. No one talked to me. No one said hi to me. It was so awkward. It was so awkward. And it was like, well, what did you think it was going to be? You know these people. Janelle doesn't speak at all. Cody is like that. And Robin, you hate and hates you and hates Janelle and, you know, is whatever, has no lips. Come on. Like, what, she's going to be biting him anyway. Like, do something. Then Mary, don't talk about it. But the other thing they do in this scene, which is it's like a laughable trope, is that, you know, obviously there's a whole horrible design aesthetic that is like writing on walls. And I don't like it, but I get it. And I hate to say it loudly because even as like 6 people listen to me, I think, oh no, probably 2 of these people have some other like writing on wall art. You know, family is love, home is where the heart is, patience, kind, all the ones you usually walk into a home and you're like, why did you think that you needed to like get words and put them on a wall? You're, you know, like you could just think those thoughts. You know, it's just, it feels a little cringy, but at the same time, it happens everywhere, right? Like so many homes have them and so many people think it's like, you know, everything. And I think I have to get over it. I think it's like a mean thing. I have to be like, okay, it helps this person's mental game to wake up and see love is a dog's grin, you know, like on a piece of paper that they framed, you know, and I just like they love dogs. They got to remember every day that like if they're feeling blue, all they got to do is look into their smile of their dog and they'll feel better, Chris, and that's how they ground themselves. I'm like, okay. It's just that it can be a little hacky and like specific to like middle America, okay? And so now I feel like a coastal elite saying that. I am. I don't want to be. I don't want to be a coastal elite. I want to be like a non-American snob. That's like more like what I want to be. I want to be like a worldly snob, a worldly sophisticated of no nation but claims humanity and art itself kind of like jet setter. And that way I can look down from my jet and like, judge people to have writing on their walls. Basically, Mary and then her girlfriend Amber decide to just put a bunch of, positivity and God loves us. I don't know. And all of this stuff I feel like is playing at the idea of Mary moving on. And I want to see her actually do it. Like, I don't want to see her talk about trying to get back in the dating thing or thinking about dating or trying to meet men. I want to see her dealing with a text by a new man that she's dating with and she like doesn't know how to write back. And she has to like ask Jen and then ask Amber and then both of them are like, "Girl, are you sure you don't want to try a different flavor?" Like, cuz I do think Mary might be gay. I also think Cody might be gay. I think I think that Cody had dalliances and a lot of the other like Reddit streets I told you about and I brought up the controversies that people don't talk about are that Cody A is gay, B or bi, or C, the affair he had early on, they talk about was with a man or like was on his missionary. All of that comes into play. I'm not saying it's true but there's weird moments in the past, like where Janelle has said like he's hiding things and stuff that I want to be like, oh girl, tell us more. And obviously Mary knows. And that's why I think like the NDA happened. People are also like maybe the Mary NDA thing happened for business reasons, but I think it was personal reasons because she knows the most about Cody and Christine came out with a book. And Mary can string a sentence together and Janelle barely can. So I think Mary could write a book. Book. I don't know why I said it like that. It's a half boat, half book. Um, Janelle tells us a wild story. Janelle's like, let me tell you this banana story about Cody. Cody heard that water helps with digestion. Lukewarm water helps with digestion. And so he would go out to restaurants and instead of just ordering water with a side of lemon, he would make them bring a whole fucking lemon for him to cut. I'm going to tell you that as someone who worked in a restaurant, that's really crazy. You don't think of it that way, but like that whole like okay, well then do you want me to okay, then I'll charge you, I guess, for like $3. Do you really want $3 worth of lemon? Because I'm not gonna take back a lemon with your grubby hands all over it. And like I know when you go to buy lemons at a store, they're like 50 cents, but a lemon at a restaurant is like $3 fucking dollars. You know how much avocado, half an avocado is 75. So it's like to have to also go to the back and then talk to the cook and be like, "I'm so sorry. I fucking need a lemon. I need one." And they'll be like, "What?" And they try and cut it. You're like, "No, no, 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 no. I know it sounds dumb. Just listen. I need a whole lemon. Table 45 is sh- stupid. Please. Lo siento, pero yo necesito un limón. Just un total, and the person is just like, "Oh my God." And by that point, it's been like 1 minute and you've like neglected other things. So much to get one stupid lemon because he has to cut it himself. What with the butter knife next door? Because was it next you're gonna what ask for a steak knife in this goddamn lemon because you're so insane? You're crazy. That's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing to have to exert so much control over a lemon, but then it's a crazy thing to also be like, I'll tell you what happened to my family. This episode where Cody's like, I went through male menopause. They don't say it happens, it does. But when I turned 50, I was like, fuck this. Fuck this father shit. I don't want to deal with it. It's too much. It's too much pressure. It's too much work. I don't want to make everyone feel seen. I don't want to make everyone feel loved. I don't want to make everyone feel cared for. I don't want to have to pay attention. I don't want to have to hold people's needs more than Robin's needs. Robin's needs are so loud and so intense, I cannot carry it all, is what he said, kind of. It's interesting because he will say something like this, where he basically will say that he gave up. I mean, he really does say he gave up. And then he says, I would really like to move myself from a place of blaming. And we're like, come again? You want to move yourself from a place of blaming. You want to move yourself away from blaming yourself, blaming other people, blaming what the fuck did that sentence mean? And then the next sentence is, and I would like everybody to stop blaming me. And it's like, oh, that part. Oh, well, then just say, yeah, you dumb asshole. So you're going to tell us all that you want people to stop blaming you, even though you were the patriarchal head of a family whose unfortunate religion makes you all believe that you are the priest that's going to herald everyone to heaven. It's you or the highway, and the highway goes to hell, and your heaven is the one with all the gods and the celestial angels. And you made 45 people believe that for the entirety of their lives until you just decided to give up. And then you decided to give up, and then you wanted everyone to not blame you, as they started to be like, what the fuck, dad, you were like, it's not me, you're all so mean to Robin. And they were like, no, no, that's not it. And then when they were like, are you insane? You must be insane, we're going to stop talking to you because you're an insane person. He's like, oh, my kids stopped talking to me and they all blame me and I wonder why. It's like, I do think that Robin knows all this, sees it, and is incredibly embarrassed and cringy and is like one foot out the door. And I think that every time that he's like, I feel like Robin, has seen me with lesser eyes and I don't know if Robin's still into me. It's like he really always thought it's because it was like, yeah, because Robin was really into the family. And it's like, yeah, Robin really saw how you handled it. And the whole time you would not take accountability, and the whole time that you were like, you know, blaming everyone else. It's really crazy. But Robin also is no saint, obviously. Robin also blames outside outside influences. Ugh. And of course, the outside influences are Marion, sorry, Janelle and Christine. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna drink water. Now, would Robin know a thing or two about wives and moms talking to their children about some of the failures of fathers? Yes. She goes into a story about her dad, right? Robin's like, my dad, my biological dad and I like didn't know each other, and then this other guy was really nice, but I had all this resentment against my biological dad, and I look just like him. And I'm like, no, you look also just like your mom, but okay, God bless. And we obviously know that Robin had like a shitty situation with her ex-husband, who's the father of Aurora, Brianna, and Dayton, and Dayton's not on TV anymore. And a lot of the Reddit streets also like dive deep into how that went, because for a Mormon like her ex-husband to, give up his children and to be adopted by another man is like a whole, it's a whole sign of a failure in that life and most lives. And he did it. So as much as anything you can say about Robin, at one point this man believed that Robin was right in wanting another parent. Now, maybe there's other things I don't know. Maybe he'd be like, "No, I didn't think that," and somehow those children were stolen away from me. Maybe there's like nuance, but he's definitely never like his family has never said anything against the arrangement that's like loud. So enough for us to get it. So she undoubtedly influenced her children against their own father. I am not saying that they didn't witness things, but she's like, as a parent, you just everything you say is like taken. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure you know that. It's interesting though, because maybe in her mind, like Cody didn't abuse his kids, like maybe like physically. But at the same time, those kids are old. These weren't young kids by this point. They're, like that loved their dad and suddenly started to get an earful from like an angry woman being like, he's not that great. These are kids that didn't understand why they never saw their dad, and then started to realize more and more it's because he's with certain people that aren't you, and that every time they're around, he's always with them. That's just obvious. Like that's literally what's happening. They can see, they can feel it. They can see him only go over to Robin. They can see him only talk to Ari and Solomon, maybe. They can, in decision making, realize that their wants and needs are never going to be at any sort of forefront of their own dad's mind, and like, yeah, that's just not something that like moms have to put in them. Kids inevitably like feel a certain amount of safety, understanding, ease with a parent or with not. And it can be very difficult, I think, to like put words into what those feelings are. It's just, like your nervous system feels better when it's around one. You feel happy, you feel warm, you feel like safe. And then, like, around someone else, you feel uneasy, you feel tense, you feel like you don't know how to step, you feel like not looked at or cared for, or like even anger or resentment towards. Like these are all the, subtle feelings that when you're a kid, you're just like trying to like navigate it. But I know there are instances of really bad parents like turning kids against parents, but I truly feel, especially in my own history, that inevitably the parent that is saying that their children were turned against them by their other parent did not provide a space and energy that made that child feel safe. You're a parent. So if you love your child and your child loves you back, and you have always treated your child healthily, like in a healthy way, in a healthy manner, not a lot can get in between that. Like, just because it's your child, you've shared so much time and energy. So if that avenue and energy channel is open, if you haven't felt hurt, if you haven't felt trauma, if you haven't felt weird over and over again with that person, it's just incredibly difficult to turn your own child's mind against you. Like, there's like, you can be like, oh, they told them lies. No, they didn't. They felt what they felt. They can feel what they feel. You don't like your child, Cody. You don't care about going to see these people's lives or games or surgeries, but you will make any choice necessary to like go to some bullshit with Robin. So like the kids saw that. That wasn't Christine being like, he's not at your game because he's with Robin. Like, they know. Anyway, so it's a fucked up situation where it's like, it's annoying to have these conversations where Robin's like, I think that you should, try and talk to your kids, and then be like, well, don't perpetrate like a lie that he's been so great, and that the only problem with his kids is that he has ex-wives that talk shit about him. So this goes into Cody being like, yeah, I want to have a better relationship. And he starts using like therapy words, and there's like, maybe I should go see a therapist. And it's like, maybe. And then he's like, yeah, I've tried to reach out to my kids. And that, okay. So in this episode, he's like, yeah, I've tried to reach out to my kids and gotten nothing back. And Leon is like, oh, I literally have been on a social media hiatus. Obviously, Leon is the child of Mary and Cody, first child. And Leon's like, I'm on a social media hiatus, but I just need to pop back in and be like, I heard recently that there's a video going around of my dad saying that he has reached out to his children. And let me just fucking tell you, absolutely no, he did not. I haven't heard from that man, haven't seen that man since. This is what Leon said. My brother killed himself. Why I wanted to bring that up, not that turn of phrase, is that this isn't a statement of like, oh, it is a statement of clarification. But obviously and rightfully, there is a vibe of fuck you. Also, how dare you? It was so telling. Obviously, we know that like Cody has gone on some weird PR, weird parade where he's gone on special forces, i.e., Army with the Stars, and they had him take accountability as supposedly, and he said that he understood that the buck stops with him, that he was the dad. And, the timeline of filming is, I'm assuming that special forces happened after this scene because it feels like Sister Wives gets taped 7 years and then we see it, like light. Um, 7 years. No, wait. How do I say that? Light moves. No, wait. Light. 7 years. What is that? Is it that something like? Oh, I know what it is. Were you ever told? Don't worry, I'll finish the sentence. Were you ever told that when you look up at the stars, that some of the stars that you're looking at, no longer exist, right? They're dead, and that when you look up and you're looking at pinholes of light, or the light you're seeing is 7-year-old light that was broadcast. The light you're looking at is 7 years old, if not longer, and that's why sometimes when you look up at stars, they're not alive anymore. You're looking back in time. You're looking at what existed, 7 years or more back in the day, and that some of them have since died, and therefore their light no longer is there. That's kind of like how Sister Wives is filmed. It feels so old. You're like, when did that happen? Because Cody during Special Forces looks like a different person, you know. Um, at this point, also, we realize Janelle wants a spiritual release from Cody. And I think that's a great idea for lots of reasons. A, because, she cares about this stuff, like we know that she comes from like a heavily Mormon family, and like, I'm not saying that she's also not completely given up her faith. And so I do think that there's a possibility for Janelle to want to get married again. And so I think the spiritual release is really, really great. And they talk about um how Cody, how we talked about how like upset Cody was for Mary, how Mary had gotten a spiritual release from Cody by basically saying that she was abandoned, and that he felt some sort of way about that. But then since then, Cody has also like completely reneged on the church and been like, I don't believe in that stuff and everything now. So for Janelle to want to get a spiritual release, I wonder how Cody would feel about that. If he's upset, if he's going to try and say that he didn't, you know, abandon her. Now, the streets of Reddit also say that a lot of their whole relationship, Janelle and Cody's, and Mary and Cody's, was like done by the time they started filming. I would love to know. Yeah, I would love to know more about that. But Janelle just is a fucking bank vault. She really is. The Janelle scenes of this episode were also lackluster. Janelle basically is like, I'm going to take me and my best friends. You're like, well, this is a random group, a motley crew of women, and you definitely, I feel like, all know each other because of Plexus. It does not feel like you all suddenly were bound together by like natural means. And then they're like, we're going to go to New Orleans. And, Janelle's like, I don't know how to say it. New Orleans, New Orleans, Nolans. And it's like, that is fun. Now, Janelle's supposed to be like, my friends like want me to like, like let loose. I was raised so conservatively. And we're like, oh, okay, Janelle, what's going to happen in New Orleans? And are you going to have a hurricane? Are you going to go to Pat Oscars and see a dueling piano situation? Are you going to like, like walk around, have a little fun? Are you going to show a titty, get some beads? No. She's going to eat an alligator hot dog and then a cricket. Crickets, literally, for the enjoyment of this episode. I was like, oh my God, Janelle, that's it? You're going to eat gross food? That's all we get? You eating gross food? Why? She's like, none of my other sister wives would eat this food. I'm like, yeah, they're smart. Why are you first of all, just a lot of things. I don't even like seafood, but New Orleans is an eaten town. Like New Orleans has like really good food. Like why would you be like worrying about crickets? Like have some crawfish, have some fried oysters. Like please have like a po' boy or something. Like you could be doing so many more things besides. Oh my God, this alligator gamey ass hot dog, honey. She's boring. Janelle, do something fun. You're in a place and you have your Plexus baddies with you. You know, you're like doing ambassador shit. You know, this is just like some dumb free, you know, event you're probably going to all go to because you're in the top 5% of an MLM. I mean, this is a nightmare, this scene. I just can't believe it. So anyway, well, that's all we get of Janelle besides her like telling Maddie like what a shit show it was at Coyote Pass, and then her being like, Maddie knows everything. And I want to be like, great. Maddie came out with a podcast for 2 seconds, didn't want to ever talk about the show, wanted to talk about things we don't care about, and then stopped the podcast after 2 seconds, and now it's onto this farm. Maddie needs to understand that we need to know about this show. It's going to be her. Maddie's got to like find a way to like really, really give it to Robin and Cody by taking over the entire franchise from her father and, you know, having a truthful narrative. And also, I think, somewhat resurrecting the narrative of her family because she can bring them all together and they don't have to be a part of it, Robin and Cody. And they certainly chose not to. And so I think there would be kind of like a redemption arc to it all if that happened. So basically, that was the end of the episode. We'll see what happens. You know, I'm excited to like I'm excited to piece together how the bits and pieces of the reactions from people to this stupid story because it's annoying to me that they give us nothing and they breadcrumb us, and yet I still am like hungry for like more. That is very frustrating. In fact, I'm mad at myself. But that is true. Okay, that is true. Um all right, my loves. I'm going to go and listen to see. I'm going to pick up some of your comments now. But that was pretty much the end of the episode. So, hi. Sorry if I'm late to the party, but do you and want to go live together anymore? I'm in your Patreon, but never see you go together. She's doing a live Seeking Sister Web right now, but not together. I know, my love. No, we're not doing lives together anymore. Yeah. I'm also not watching that show, but the Patreon still has the docu-sweeties we're doing for HEA. We have 2 more episodes, and then we're ending docu-sweeties. So I will be starting my new podcast. So I'm very excited about that. But the Patreon will be ending so that people don't have a weird bait and switch where they were given the idea of something and then now get something else. I will have a solo podcast that I'm really excited to start with like very fun friends and co-hosts. And Wa is continuing as well. And I wish her the best. All right, my loves. I'm going to take 10 minutes and then I'm going to start 90 Day Fiance the other way at 6 o'clock, which I'm super excited about. So be here. The link is already up. I'll start the room and I have pictures and everything, and we'll get into last night's The Other Way. Okay. Okay. We'll do a quick breath. Oh, sorry. Quick breath. Let it all go. And we're going to really do it now. Good. Breathe in everything. Let go of everything. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm super grateful that you've spent some time with me here. Thank you so much for letting me talk about these dumb people and their stupid lives. It does give us release and escape, though. Tee hee hee. All right, my babes. I wish you the best, truly. Take care of yourselves. Oh, you can follow me, of course. I'm at Chris Elfera. I am on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, and I'm doing fun content across the board. It's obnoxious to say that, but you know I need all your help. So please like, please subscribe, please follow, please hit the notification bell. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook, Chris Farah. My Facebook group is Vanity Farah. And I have a Substack. So all the things exist. And I truly appreciate your time and energy here with me. And I wish you, like, if I don't see you in the next 10 minutes for a 90 Day Fiance, a very happy Thanksgiving. And I hope it's full of like love and warmth and also a lot of like cozy comfort time within yourself. Okay. Tryptophan yourself, honey. All right. Bye. Oh, take care of yourselves and one another. Stand up for what you believe and make art. That's what I want to say. All right, my loves. See you soon. 10 minutes. Bye.